What is up, everybody? DanDanTheFireman here. We're going to be talking about emergency braking. This is mostly a concept, an idea that you need to understand and then put it into practice. You can't just run out there and practice emergency braking. You need to kind of understand what it is that we're doing. So, emergency braking. Very important to have it set up in a nice, safe area. Wear full gear at all times when you're practicing. So once I start, you're going to see how it's kind of laid out. It's basically just two cones. All you need is two cones or two objects to cue you in when you need to brake. Now, how to brake appropriately. Now, we talked about friction zone on the left hand, how you're slowly adjusting pressure. Right hand, same thing. Pull it in, and by pull, I mean squeeze. Don't grab, don't yank. Squeeze it in and pull. Think of an orange in your hand. Go ahead and grab an orange if you have one, whatever. I want you to grab it and squeeze slowly to get that juice out. You don't just yank it and smash it, right? Same thing with the brakes. Pull it in slowly. Squeeze it slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2. It all depends on how fast you want to stop. Now, one thing that really is important to understand and have the concept is that go ahead and put your foot on the ground. Go ahead. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll go ahead and get another shot if I have to. Go ahead and put your foot on the ground. Put a little bit of weight, or don't put any weight on the foot that you're going to rub. So rub the ground with your foot, no weight on it, put the weight on the other leg. Now, apply just a little bit of weight. Now try to do it. A little bit harder, right? You could maybe do it if you tried. Now put all your weight on that one foot and try to move it. Try to skid it across the ground. That is the basic concept of tires and asphalt, tires and surface, and braking. The more weight on the front tire, the more braking power you're gonna have to stop. So what you need to do is gradually put weight on that foot, on that front tire, to get it to stop better. It's the same foot, same tire, same foot. Now there's just weight on it. So now you can stop better. The way you do that is by slowly applying the brakes, which will shift the weight to the front tire. And then when you feel the weight shifting to the front tire, you can squeeze a little bit harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. The best way I'm going to demonstrate that is I want you to look at my headlight. Okay, you're going to see my headlight go like this and then dunk down. Once it starts dunking down, that means I'm applying pressure. Look at my suspension also. You'll see it compress. Once it starts compressing, I'll apply even more and more brake. When I apply more and more brake, I'll stop a little bit better. So a lot of this was classroom stuff, so we're going to focus on this. Once again, we're full gear. Got my gear over here. This happens quick. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do the first few kind of slow. Obviously, don't want to hit the camera. The next few, I'm going to do more real-time speed, okay? So the goal of this is to get about 12 to 18 miles per hour. Let's say 15. Let's get to 15 miles per hour. Don't focus on it. You could probably do this in first gear, maybe second, who knows. Do not focus on the speed, focus on the brake pressure. Now, while you're applying the brakes, what happens if you stop while in gear without pulling the clutch? You stall. So now, when we apply the brakes, we want to pull in the clutch. So pull in the clutch, apply the front brake, apply the rear brake, greater stopping power. All right, so first gear, let's go and start this. I'm going about 15 miles per hour, clutch, brake. Notice how my headlight dipped down a little bit? Okay, let's try that again. We'll get a second shot, and then we'll move it off to the side because I really want to demonstrate the compression of the forks, the headlight kind of going down, the gradual increase of pressure. So grabbing the clutch, applying the front brake and rear brake, and see how I bounce back up. All right, let's go ahead and move the camera so you can have an even better look from the side. I want you to see the compression of the suspension, the front suspension. When you accelerate, when you use throttle, you are actually lifting your suspension. You're lifting the bike up. When you brake, it goes down. When you're braking, when you're applying gentle, progressive pressure to the front, your bike will go down. As in, the suspension will compress. There you go. You won't fall if you do it right. All right, and that's what we're trying to practice here. So once again, I'm gonna get ready to pull in the clutch, apply the brakes. That's it. Now, if I didn't pull in the clutch and I braked and I broke. We'll go ahead and demonstrate that. It's a little bit scary, so this is why you need to pull in the clutch. So I'm going to show you what happens when you don't. So right now I'm just going to apply the brakes. I didn't pull in the clutch. You stalled. You just did an emergency brake in traffic. Now what are you going to do if there's cars behind you? You just removed an escape path that you could possibly do. So pull in the clutch when you brake. So now you're here, still in first gear because I didn't downshift. Still in whatever gear it is, I didn't downshift. Now if I have to, I get it in the right gear and I can take off. Now, it's very important to square up your handlebars. And what I mean by square up, you notice how I am squared with the camera. This is not squared up, this is not squared up, this is squared up. Okay, so when you brake and you square up, you go straight down. We talked about that little weird concept of the bike wanting to dip. Now, if you are not squared up, I want to show you. Let's get that out of the way. So this is squared up. This is me applying the brakes, okay? So I'm going to move towards the camera. Watch the compression of the suspension and watch the light dip down. So I'm going to move. I'm moving. Oh, I got to hit the brakes. You see how it bounced back up, basically? The compression, and then it pushed back up. Now, let's do that one more time. Perfect. It's perfectly fine. That's how the bike's designed. Now let's say I decided to brake in a turn, or at the last second I decided to swerve but didn't, but then slammed the brakes. This is what's going to happen. Uh-oh, turning. I start to fall. The heavy bike. I need to start working out again. So, if you are turning the handlebars and not squared up when you brake, turn, it's going to push you. The compression of the suspension and springs will push you to the direction that you turned. Very important to practice this. Something that you're going to want to practice because you never know. You want to figure out how you feel the brakes. When it comes to it, do this a few times. Get the feel for it. Get a feel of how your brakes really work. And if you have to get new brakes, get new brakes. If you have to put more fluid, brake fluid, put more brake fluid. All these things are stuff that you need to check prior to riding, but this is something that you can easily do in a parking lot. Okay, I don't suggest practicing this out on the road. I suggest practicing in the parking lot and using it only for emergencies in the road. Okay? Whew, I'm tired. With that said, I hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll definitely see you guys later.